Ever think about, like, what would happen if you took a popular AI, something like ChatGPT, and put it up against, like, a whole bunch of doctors?
Hmm. Sounds a bit like the start of one of those sci-fi movies, doesn't it?
Yeah, right? Kind of like a thriller, you know? But hold on, because that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at this new study. It's pretty wild,
Yeah.
actually. They had GPT-4, that's the AI behind ChatGPT, take a crack at a bunch of really tough medical cases, and get this, the AI actually did better than all the doctors.
It really is quite something. And this wasn't just some AI trivia game. We're talking complicated cases, the kind they pulled from real patient files, the kind that make even experienced doctors, really stop and think.
Wait, well, hold on a sec. You're saying this AI all by itself diagnosed these really complex medical cases better than real doctors? I mean, how's that even possible?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what's got everyone talking, right? It seems AI might have a bit of a talent for, well, you could call it diagnostic puzzle solving. You see, it can go through mountains of information, spot those hidden patterns, and connect the dots in a way that we humans sometimes miss.
So are we all going to be, like, making appointments with Dr. Chatbot for our next checkup then?
Not quite yet. This study, it also looked at what happens when doctors could use GPT-4, as a tool alongside their usual resources. So we're talking 50 doctors here, a mix of attending physicians, the ones kind of leading the way, and residents who are still in training, specializing in things like internal medicine, emergency medicine, that sort of thing. The doctors you'd see for just about anything.
Okay, so a real mix of experience levels. So did having this AI buddy, did it turn them into, like, some kind of super diagnostic team?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. Even though GPT-4 aced the test all on its own, the doctors who used it, well, they didn't see a huge boost in how accurately they were diagnosing things compared to the doctors who just stuck with their usual methods.
Hold on, if this AI is so good on its own, why didn't it, like, I don't know, give the doctors superpowers or something?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? To really get to the bottom of it, we need to dig a little deeper into, well, how they actually did this study. See, they weren't just focused on right or wrong answers. They used this system called structured reflection to evaluate the doctor's entire thought process, you see.
Structured reflection.
Oh,
So kind of tense.
it is, but in a good way. It's
Hmm?
kind of like, imagine you could peek inside a doctor's head while they're figuring out a case. Think about those detective shows where they're pinning up evidence on a board. This is similar, but instead of photos and fingerprints, it's medical evidence and potential diagnoses. So, for instance, did the doctor think about all the possible reasons why a patient might be experiencing those symptoms? Did they think about what evidence backs up each possibility or maybe goes against it? And did they order the correct tests to, well, figure out if they're on the right track?
Wow, so it's like way more than just the final diagnosis. It's about the whole journey of getting there.
Exactly. And this is where the messy real world of being a doctor, well, it gets really tough to capture that in a study.
You mean there's way more to being a doctor than just, taking a list of symptoms and saying, aha, this is what you have.
Yeah, precisely.
So it's not like you just, like, feed symptoms into some AI and boom, you get the right answer every time.
Right, exactly. And those complicated cases, the ones from those patient files, well, a doctor has to deal with so much more than just, a neat little list of symptoms when they're actually with a patient, right?
Yeah, because what if the patient, like, forgets something important? Or maybe they're just, I don't know, not very good at explaining what's going on.
Precisely. A doctor has to think about the patient's medical history, their lifestyle, where they live, even their mood can be important. They're picking up on all these little cues when they examine a patient, noticing things that AI wouldn't even know to look for. It's a bit like, well, maybe like being a detective, you could say.
I can see that, putting those clues together, following those hunches. So where does this leave us with AI? Is it all just, like, hype? Is there any real hope for AI in healthcare?
Oh, not at all. Actually, this study, it paints a very hopeful picture, but maybe not in the way some people might expect. It seems like the real strength of AI in healthcare isn't about replacing doctors. It's about making them even better at what they do.
Okay, so more like an AI partner than an AI replacement.
Exactly. Think about it. What if you had AI that could take care of some of that, heavy lifting, like going through tons of data, spotting those potential problems in medical images, even suggesting a few possible diagnoses based on a patient's symptoms? That would free up doctors so they could really focus on what they do best, connecting with patients, explaining those diagnoses in a way that makes sense, and making decisions about treatment together.
So it's like having an AI assistant who can handle all that information overload,
Mm.
which lets the doctor, the human doctor,
Mm.
really concentrate on, the human side of things.
Exactly. And that actually brings us to another really important point this study highlights, and that's the whole idea of trust in healthcare.
Yeah, because let's face it, no matter how smart some AI gets, it's hard to imagine yourself, really opening up to a chatbot.
Right. Patients, they need to be able to trust their doctor, and that trust, well, that comes from human connection, empathy, clear communication. Those are some things that, as advanced as AI is, it just hasn't quite figured out yet. An AI, sure, maybe it can come up with a technically correct diagnosis, but can it explain that to a patient in a way that really makes them feel heard and understood? Can it offer comfort during a difficult time, or answer questions in a way that really addresses that individual's fears and concerns? I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's asking a lot. So this study, it's not really a reason to be afraid of AI in healthcare, is it? It's more like, well, maybe a call to action.
You hit the nail right on the head. We've got to be smart about how we use these AI tools, making sure they help doctors do their jobs better instead of trying to replace them altogether. And, this study also hinted at another possible perk of using AI efficiency.
Oh, really? Are we talking about like robot doctors pulling all-nighters so human doctors can finally get a vacation?
Haha, no, not quite that dramatic. But the doctors who used GPT-4, they were able to work through those complex cases a little faster than the doctors who didn't have AI helping them out.
That's interesting. I mean, it might not sound like much, but in a busy doctor's day, even saving a little bit of time can make a real difference, right?
Absolutely. Healthcare is one of those fields where time is super important. Every minute counts.
Okay, so even though the study found that AI could be better than human doctors at making diagnoses, the real takeaway here is about using AI as a tool to help doctors be even better. And hey, if it gives them back a few minutes in their day, well, that's a good thing, right? But that does make you wonder, if AI is already this capable, what's next?
Now, there's a question worth exploring.
It's kind of wild to think, like, AI is already going head-to-head with doctors, when it comes to figuring out what's wrong with people.
Definitely makes you wonder what's coming next in the world of AI and healthcare, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, are we talking robot surgeons, AI-run hospitals, that kind of thing?
Well, while this study was, a really fascinating look at what AI might be able to do, it's important to remember we're still pretty early on in this whole, AI revolution, right?
Right. It's not like everyone's going to be ditching their doctor for some algorithm just yet.
Exactly. And this study, it was really focused on, GPT-4 and its ability to diagnose things. And even then, it was in a very controlled environment, with specific cases. Real life medicine, it's so much more complex and nuanced than any kind of simulation can capture, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've got that human element, the whole doctor-patient thing, that gut feeling doctors get after years of experience. These are all things that, AI hasn't quite wrapped its head around yet.
Precisely. But that doesn't mean this study isn't important. It shows just how fast AI is developing and the potential it has to, really change the face of healthcare as we know it.
So if we're not all getting robot doctors anytime soon, what does the future hold? What are some of the, really promising ways we might be able to use AI in healthcare?
One area where AI really excels is, well, its ability to process and analyze just incredible amounts of data. So imagine AI going through millions of medical records, research papers, even genetic information, looking for those patterns and insights that we humans might miss.
So kind of like having an army of, super-powered medical researchers working 24/7.
Yeah, essentially. AI could help us come up with new treatments, personalize medicine based on your unique genes, even predict potential health problems before they even show up.
Now, that's what I call preventative care. It's pretty exciting to think that AI could actually help us live longer, healthier lives.
It really is. But, and this is important, just like with any powerful tool, we've got to be careful. We have to think about the ethical side of things.
Yeah, because for all the good AI could do, it could also be, misused or even harmful if it's not developed responsibly.
Exactly. We have to make sure that AI is being used to, make us better, to make healthcare available for everyone, no matter who they are or what their background is.
And we can't forget about human oversight. Humans need to be involved, especially when something is as important as healthcare.
Couldn't agree more. In the end, the future of healthcare, it's not about picking AI over human doctors. It's about finding that sweet spot, figuring out how to use the best of both to create a system that's more efficient, more effective, and honestly, more compassionate.
So as AI keeps getting smarter, It's really up to all of us, doctors, patients, researchers, even policymakers. We've all got to work together to make sure it's used to make things better for everybody.
It's a future worth working towards, one where technology and human ingenuity work together to make life better for everyone.
Well said. And on that note, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the world of AI and healthcare. It's been quite a journey, and we hope you've learned some interesting stuff along the way.
And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. As AI keeps changing, keep those questions coming, stay in the loop, and let's shape the future of healthcare together.
And if this deep dive has, piqued your interest, don't hesitate to check out the source material. We always love it when our listeners want to dig a little deeper.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.
From all of us here at The Deep Dive, thanks for listening.